them. And so as we go through the next 45 minutes, put your questions in the chat. I am going to keep an eye on the chat. And what I want to do today is rather than walking you through the curriculum for the Psychic Intuitive, I am going to do that, but I want to give you a felt sense of what this training is actually like. Okay, so how it unfolds, what we are going to practice, and how people usually experience it week after week. This is a grounded and extremely ethical psychic development training that begins on Saturday. I always think about psychic mediumship, and there are psychic mediums out there who think that it is all about your performance. But for me, it's not that. It's not about performance. It's not about your demonstration. It's not about being open all the time, right? It's not about forcing your gifts. Psychic development is really learning how to listen, okay? How to listen clearly, how to listen safely and with discernment. So before we go out and help other people, and before we go out and read for others, for our clients, for our family members, I think it's really important that we become healed vessels, right? We focus on our own intuition and spirit. So if you're here because you have always felt intuitive, if you felt like an empath, sensitive, or like you pick up more than everyone else does, this course is about learning how to work with that. Okay, I don't want you guys to feel overwhelmed by the information that is already coming in, but rather be able to make sense of it, right? So how we go about this course, it's 12 weeks, but every class includes 2 hours of teaching. So we'll be studying techniques. I'll show you what we do week after week, but it includes teaching. It will include guided exercises, pair partners. You are going to work on your own outside of the class hours on assignments, but also within the class, we'll have pair partner role playing, sometimes in a small group. I feel like the pair partner role playing is a core part of this training, which is why this is not something you can simply do by watching a video, okay, or reading a book. Towards the mid of the course, so sometime around 4th or 5th week, you are going to practice reading for people outside the class. So we'll have clients, we will have volunteer clients every week, and then as a group, as a class, we are going to read them. Because anything with psychic mediumship doesn't grow if you're not practicing, right? So practice is a big, big, big deal, okay? And no one is going to get thrown into the deep end. Skills are introduced slowly, and we practice them together and then integrate over time, okay? I'm looking at the chat. Yes, Claudia, I will do that. You'll receive the curriculum, and you'll also receive a link to replay the session if you want to do that. So if you're driving, feel free to jump off if you have to, yeah? But let's look at the most basic question, right? So psychic, what is a psychic? And oftentimes I was speaking with someone today, this afternoon, they lost their young son last year. And we were talking about psychic mediumship, and they did not know the difference between psychic and medium. So I want to start there. This particular course is hardcore psychic work. Okay, we're not going to touch upon mediumship in this. I don't mix those two. We have a completely separate mediumship 1 and 2 training. But as far as a psychic, so at its core, a psychic is someone who perceives information beyond the 5 physical senses. Okay, so you're not just receiving information through your physical senses, but now you're going beyond that. You're getting these hits You may hear mind chatter. You may get a smell or a taste, or you may walk into a room and you get goosebumps. Um, so that's a psychic. You're constantly picking up the subtle energies around you, right? You're noticing patterns, impressions, and signals. You may not be always able to make sense of it. You know what you're receiving. However, you're still receiving it. And when we don't train ourselves, when we stay open as a portal, that can overwhelm us. Okay. So receiving information through intuition rather than deduction. That's what a psychic does. Okay. We are present through present moment awareness. We receive information for our clients. Sometimes the information is for us. Sometimes it may be for a family member, but you're simply reading people in the psychic realm. And you can use different modalities to do that. You can use tarot, you can use crystals, you can use a pendulum. There's so many different ways to do a psychic reading, right? You could be a medical intuitive, which is what I do. I simply by looking at your aura, I get information about your health, your energetic health. So all those things fall under psychic. Okay, it's either you're reading a person, a pet, an object, or a place. Even remote viewing falls under psychic studies. And then you have mediumship. Mediumship is a three-way communication. So it's a medium, there's a living person, and then there's a dead person, a post-material body. They don't like to be called dead people. So we call them post-material bodies. And you as a medium, you are the vessel, you're the bridge between the living and the dead. Okay, so that's a difference between a psychic reading and a mediumship reading. The senses that we use are the same. Okay, you're going to use all your clairs, not just the four, not just clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance, which are the four main clairs everyone talks about, right? But we are going to use 8 clairs. We have clairgustance, which is taste, clairempathy, which would be sensing emotions, right? Clairtangency, which would be touching an object and just understanding the story behind the object. We call it psychometry. So that's clairtangency. And then you have clairalience, which is smelling. So those are 8 different clairs, and we need to develop all those 8 clairs to receive information the best way possible. And we use clairs in both psychic and mediumship, right? So the way we do psychic mediumship is pretty much the same, but the source of the information is different. In psychic, the source of your information is the client. You're simply reading someone's aura, right? We are reading their energy. It could be a photograph, it could be an object, or a living person. Mediumship, it's a 3-way conversation. You're speaking with a dead person, right? So the source of the information you're receiving is someone else. It's a dead person. So that's the difference between psychic mediumship. Now, what is psychic is not. Okay, let's also be a little bit clear about that. A psychic is not someone who predicts the future. Fortune telling. I personally do not believe in fortune telling because I kind of think your future has so many millions of possibilities, and your present is what decides your future. So there is nothing like future or past. You're really living a present experience. Think of it like being in a playground, right? And time is not linear, right? It's like a circular in a way. And you can change past, you can change your future based on what you do today in the present. So as a psychic, to be super ethical about it, we only read the present moment energy of your client. We are not predicting future. We are also not giving away personal power. We will make sure that people understand that they have complete free will and they are able to decide the path that they take. Also, psychic is not someone who's always on. Okay, that's a big misunderstanding of how psychic mediumship works. People feel like you're supposed to constantly receive information. I promise you, I'm not constantly receiving information unless I ask for it. So that's the point. You should be able to switch off when you don't want to receive something. And that's a healthier psychic, right? It's a healthier medium who only receives information when they are ready and they give permission for the outside energy to present that information. But if you're constantly getting hit by information, it only means that you are an open portal. And I don't know how many of you did the boundaries workshop with me yesterday. But one of the things I mentioned was how, when your boundaries are weak, when your aura has those rips in it, rips and tears, you're always leaking energy out and you're always receiving other people's energies. And that's what happens with a lot of healers because we are empaths by nature. And if we are women, we are emotionally intelligent beings. So we soak in everyone's pain, we soak in all that information, and then it ends up draining our energy, okay? Draining and creating those rips and tears in our aura. So this training is going to be about, ethics, how to have good boundaries, how to make sure that you're tapped into your intuition all the time, okay? All the time. Having said that, let me just see if there are any questions at this point before I go into the curriculum. You can simply just unmute and ask if you have a question too at this point. Okay, no questions, beautiful. Even though I love questions, let's look at the curriculum. So the first week is about orientation and safety. Okay, so this is where we establish everything that I was just talking about, your ethics, your regulation, clarity. We'll work on your boundaries. We'll do some exercises around how to establish good psychic boundaries, which then apply to your everyday life as well, right? Anything that we do within psychic mediumship is not just for psychic mediumship. It obviously trickles back right into your everyday life. So, one of the things that we talk about in this training is the difference between your instinct and your intuition and your imagination. So, very early on in the week number 1 itself, 1 and 2, we will kind of talk about what instinct is. So, your instinct, if you guys didn't know that, your instinct is the body's protective, reactive intelligence. Okay, your instinct is rooted in your past experiences. So if someone has harmed you, you have this memory of the harm. And then we use that as a database. We use that as a reference point for relationships. So that is our instinct. It's not a bad thing. It's just is, right? We are born with instinct and with intuition. Your intuition, on the other hand, is not attached to your past. It is not attached to your future. It's calm, it's neutral, and it's non-urgent. Knowing it just comes in. It's a present moment awareness. So when you receive a hit, I always say the first 5 seconds is your intuition. And then it becomes instinct. And then it becomes doubt and imagination and everything else. So our job as psychic mediums is to really expand that intuition, expand those 5 seconds, right? And then you have imagination, which is just our creative imagery, right? Things that we daydream about. And we need to know what is your instinct, what is your intuition, and what is just pure imagination so that we can actually do good readings for others, okay? So that's what we kind of cover in your week number 1. We will look at ethics. I'm really, I stress ethics, especially psychic ethics, because I see them disrespected all the time, where, people will read others without permission and stuff like that. So we'll kind of go over that, how to recognize what sensations and emotions or information, things like that coming your way are. Clear boundaries will also give you clarity. Okay, so we'll work on that in your week number 1. Your second week itself is biospace awareness. That's my favorite topic. So, for those of you who are new to me, my background is therapy. Okay, I was a therapist. And then I gave up my license to do this work because I kind of feel like I can expand a little bit more into death education. So, I've been a death doula for 17 years. I do a lot of grief and loss kind of work. And because my background was therapy, I'm like a data nerd. I love to find science that can back up everything that we are doing because I think it gives us a little bit more confidence, right? When we speak other people's language and are able to explain to them what psychic mediumship really is. So in your second week, we'll kind of look at the science behind how psychics actually receive all this information. We will look at your body, which has the chakras and nadis. And people talk about 7 chakras. We'll talk about 114 chakras. We'll talk about 72,000 nadis. So the complex system that your body is, your vessel, that is allowing you to all receive all these signals, we need to understand it. So we spend a little bit of time on your biospace, which is basically your aura. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what I mean by biospace, I mean your aura. So we'll spend time on that, week number 2. And then medical intuitive. So is there anyone in this group who receives medical information on their clients or people, like when you see someone, you see things going on in their body? Is there anyone like that in this group? That's a very sweet skill set to have, by the way. And when I first started training, doing my psychic studies, I used to receive medical information on people, and it will throw me off because, it's sensitive. Sometimes you see things that you don't know if you want to tell them. But what I have learned over time is the health of your body, the health of your aura is also dictating how you show up in everything else. Okay, so let's sit with that for a second. Your aura is nothing but your spirit shining through your body. It is the light of your own spirit. And then it would make complete sense that if you are not living the life that you should be living, if you have poor boundaries, if there's a lot of emotional chaos in your life, if your body is in pain, that aura dims, isn't it? The light dims. You'll see that people's auras look different. And you can read someone's aura and you'll know exactly what's going on in their life because it's simply the light. And the more aligned you are with your spirit, the brighter and more beautiful your aura is, your biospace is. So, receiving energetic information about someone's body then allows you to dig deeper into how they're showing up at work. How are they showing up in their love relationships? How are they manifesting abundance in their life, right? It becomes much easier. So we'll take a reverse way of reading. We'll start with people's bodies, so health, and then dig into apply that to the other areas of their life. So that's a medical intuitive aura reading week. It will continue for about 2 weeks. It's a lot to kind of practice and make sense. Okay, so that's going to be week number 3 and 4 for you. And then we come to psychometry. I mentioned clairtangency earlier. So psychometry is a really, really old psychic technique. Your intuition comes to you through your touch, basically, right? And so imagine going into an antique store and picking up a piece of furniture and you feel it. You're like, oh my God, this is so heavy. So in that moment, what you're using is your clairtangency. You're doing psychometry. By touching an object, you're able to read the vibration of it. And it's a very, very important skill set for psychics because sometimes your client may come with an object. They may send you a photograph. So to look at a photograph or touch an object and really give that reading is what we will practice in psychometry. Yeah. Week 6 is your dream. Is there anyone in this class who does dream interpretation? Have you tried that? It's the most fun way of knowing yourself. So the week number 6, we focused on symbolic intelligence. Okay, so your dreams are not just like brain farts. Okay, your dreams can be super, super useful for knowing what's going on in your own life. And sometimes we'll see things in our dreams. Like this morning, I had a dream and I saw a snake that then turned into a tiger. Not making this up, I actually had that dream. And so it's not that I'm seeing a snake and a tiger, it's a symbolic dream. It's actually everything in a dream is symbolic. So we'll study the dream language so you're able to just understand your own dreams better, but also use them for your clients. So sometimes I'll just ask a client to send me a dream, and based on their dream, I can give them a psychic reading. Dreams are the easiest way to read people, easiest way. So we will study dreams in your week number 6. I love dreams. And then comes your practice week. So week 7 is we will spend the entire 2 hours on practice. So initially we'll do some group practice with each other, and then we'll have a client and I'll guide you on reading them. And these clients are not just some random people. Okay, I invite people who are studying with us, so that we can create a better simulation for you. It's not just going to be anyone. I don't want to do that. Okay, so we'll practice week 7. Your week number 8 is tarot. This is going to be a guest speaker. So Jennifer Jers, who teaches tarot for my institute, will come in week 8, and she's going to give you all the basics of tarot. So if anyone in this class is interested in tarot, you can then, after your psychic training is done, you can actually specialize. You can take tarot training. Okay, the Jen teaches for CLI, so you can always do that. But the 2 hours will be spent on doing tarot, and then she'll give you guys a reading. So each one of you will receive a tarot reading in this class. So you can see how what I do is I do psychic, meaning I just use my body to do a psychic reading, and then Jen does tarot. So we combine a psychic and tarot together, but you can see how the answers typically are the same. We are always on the same page because she's simply using a modality that is different than mine, but we are still receiving the same information because we are reading for a same client. Then we get into week number 9, pendulum. That's going to be me again, obviously. I'm going to teach you how to use your pendulums. We'll use a very basic quartz pendulum, and we'll spend 2 hours on using your pendulum to get yeses and nos. We'll just do a basic one with pendulum, not anything too advanced. Pendulum mastery takes a long time, but I'm going to get you enough information so you can actually use your pendulum more effectively for doing psychic readings. Week 10 is crystal healing. Crystal healing, this is a really mini 2-hour introduction to crystals. Okay, I teach an 18-week course, 18-week mentorship in crystals. So this week, week number 10, we will study crystal layouts. How can you actually use, because once you receive medical information from people's bodies, you can actually use beautiful crystals to create layouts for your clients. So I'm going to give you a ton of different layouts you can do for your clients so you can do crystal healing on them, but very basic crystals. You don't need to know anything about crystals for this. And then week number 11 is animal communication. So any pet lovers, we will communicate with living animals. In the mediumship class, we do animal communication with dead pets, okay, pets that have passed away. This one is living pets. I've been doing animal communication for 14 years now, and it is so fun to be able to speak with your pets, right? So that's what we will do, animal communication. And then our last class is going to be a practice session. So we're going to put everything to action week number 12. But as you go through these 12 weeks, there is going to be monthly practice circles that you are welcome to come and practice with all the other psychic mediums outside of your class hours. Obviously, you'll have mentors. So there's a lot of support built into these classes. You're not just, floating around 2 hours and no contact with mana. You'll have full, obviously You can reach me anytime, but we will have mentors for you as well in this class. So you can work with them outside of the class with all your questions and stuff like that. So there you go. 12 weeks, 2 hours. I will stay back after the first two, like the class time. I always stay back for another 30 minutes in case anyone has any questions. The classes are 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. The first class is going to be this upcoming Saturday. And the last class, I believe, is April 25th. So we'll have 12 sessions, no break in between. We'll go direct 12 sessions. Lots of science and practice. And there you go. So if you're thinking, where do I go read about this class? Or who should I reach out to if I want to sign up? You can go on the website there, CLI. That is my institute, my leadership institute. We do a lot of leadership coaching, grief, loss, death doula, all kinds of witchy stuff. So go on the website, go on the group certifications, and you'll see Psychic One is listed so you can read this. And if you are going to sign up and need a payment plan, you just email me, okay, and say, hey, I need a payment plan. And Kimberly will work with you for however you want to schedule it. Yeah. Let me stop share and open up for questions here. Any questions? If you're talking, make sure that you unmute because everyone is muted at this point.
Is everyone able to access their intuition or their psychic abilities?
Wow, what a great question. Yeah, because we are born with it, and it's the most common question I receive. Um, how do I know I'm intuitive? Well, you're born with an intuition and instinct, and it just takes a little bit of work. Um, and I say that because you're going to use the same senses, the same pineal gland, the same clairs as everyone else, right? So as long as you're willing to put in the time and commit yourself to training yourself, you'll be fine. We see people come in who have zero background in any of this, like they've never even meditated in their life, and they will have the same results as everyone else because it's a process, right? It's not it's not just. I think that's the more important thing about this class is when I did my training, the difficulty I was having in my initial years as a psychic medium is I just didn't understand what I was doing. I didn't know where it was coming from. And so it took me years to really understand that. Okay, where do we receive this information from? How are we receiving it? The science behind it. So everything we study in this class is that, so that you understand how and why you receive this information. And that I think makes it easier for people. And I'm not saying that you're never going to have doubts. We unfortunately we do have a logical mind and our brain gets in the way. But I think that noise kind of gets smaller and smaller as you practice and tap into your intuition constantly. Yeah. Any other questions? Accessing your intuition is not the problem at all. It's the boundaries that happens to be the issue. Because of weak boundaries, people get overwhelmed or they don't know how to control the information that is coming in, and then they shut things down. And they get so afraid of receiving and seeing things that they'll shut it down completely. So the minute you understand what you're sensing and seeing, and that's not, even if you were to get into mediumship, it's a lot of, oh, that's the other thing too. So there are folks I think in this class, like Soraya is doing mediumship level 1, that starts this Saturday. Mediumship and psychic one, they do not overlap with each other. They're completely different courses. People go back and forth. So some people will start with level 1 mediumship and they come back into psychic. Then they do mediumship level 2. whatever path you take, once you study a particular course with me, with CLI, then you can redo it for free as many times as you want. I think it's important. And there's a reason why we do that, because 12 weeks is not going to be enough for you to become a pro psychic medium. Okay, you'll have to stay in community. Okay, you'll have to stay in practice with all the other psychic mediums. So if you are really serious about developing your intuition, you'll have to stay in practice for a couple of months. So the redoing it for free allows you that, it allows you to stay in practice without having to spend money. So I think that's really beneficial for a lot of people. And that's my advice too. Redo it as many times as you want so you can pace it and you can get really strong before you do something else. Jillian, the Psychic Intuitive is 12 to 2 on Sundays. The Mediumship one is 9 to 11 on Saturdays. I'm sorry, the Psychic Intuitive is 12 to 2 on Saturdays. Mediumship 1 is 9 to 11 on Saturdays. The next level 1 mediumship is going to be in October, which is going to be Sundays. So if you feel like, hey, I lean towards mediumship, but I cannot do a Saturday, we do have a Sunday session coming up in October. Okay. Now, Psychic Intuitive, I only offer it once a year. I don't teach psychic as much as I teach mediumship. I just feel like mediumship is my thing, it's my person. It's my lane. I do enjoy teaching psychic, but if I have to choose between the two, I'll always lean towards mediumship. And so I teach psychic once a year, and this is it. But mediumship you'll have a couple times a year. We have at least twice. Can we pick and choose classes within the course? No. You actually have to sign up for the 12 weeks because that's the whole point of training for 12 weeks. I mean, you could sign up and attend a few classes and miss the others. You'll probably not get a completion certificate if you care about it. I know some people don't care about the actual certificate. I like people to attend all classes. Everything is recorded too. So if you miss a few classes, everything is recorded and made available to you for a replay. But like I mentioned before, psychic mediumship, I'm going to be very honest. Psychic mediumship does not grow in isolation. So by watching a video or reading a book, you may develop only to a certain extent. Okay, so if you're trying to be really good at it, community is going to help you. Being in practice with other psychic mediums is going to help you a lot. Anything else? I like that question, Alice, by the way. Can we pick and choose classes within the course? Yeah, I can see. I mean, some people will be like, oh, I want to do animal communication. I'm not interested in tarot. But, since you're going to pay for the entire course, I would recommend that you take everything. Anything else before we begin to wrap up here? So you should receive an email from me, Alice. Is there a level after this? Not for the psychic, Alice. So Psychic Intuitive 1. That's a really good question. So before everyone else leaves, so the way psychic studies work, right? The reason there is no level 2, I'll tell you why. So with Psychic 1, you're introduced to different modalities like tarot, like you saw, tarot, crystals. You get to decide if there's one thing within all those different modalities that actually work for you. So some of you may say that you're really keen on developing tarot. Others may want to do crystals. So then your level 2 would be that specialization. So then you'll jump into just specializing in tarot. Instead of wasting your time doing too much, then you get to narrow your focus and focus on one modality within the psychic. Mediumship 1 has a level 2. Okay, so mediumship 1 has a level 2 mediumship. That's different, completely different. Thank you. That was a great question. Okie doke. So we are going to wrap up today. You should receive an email from me tonight with the replay of our session here. And if you we start on Saturday. So if you want to sign up for the Psychic Intuitive, let me know. Just reply back to the email and say, hey, you do want to sign up. And then Kimberly will guide you through the whole process. But we will close registration on Friday, so I can then send out the course, like Zoom link and everything. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful, beautiful night. Stay safe, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.